Ta-la-la-ta-ta. Welcome into Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. This is Jed in the region. This is my local radio show. Talking about flowers over the weekend. It's a nasty day. Anyways, we pull up at Allsup Home and Nursery yesterday around, I don't know, 2 o'clock, or I don't know what time it was in the afternoon. And I get out of the car and I just got a little sweatshirt on, and I'm like, you know what? This is hats and gloves weather. And I look down on the car and it's 46 degrees with about a 20-mile-an-hour wind coming off the lake. So, what does it feel like? It's in the 30s, probably a wind chill in the mid 30s or upper 30s. So, how'd you like that yesterday, huh? You're just ready for some summertime weather, and you got a deep fall weather, like a early December day on your hands. And then we bought all these flowers, and I put them outside. And Alexa's like, I think they're gonna freeze tonight. So I had to go check the weather, and it really didn't get below mid 40s overnight. So I think you're okay on the weather there. Also, I turned on the sprinklers, and you don't want it freezing all night because you can mess that up. But I don't think we're in danger of any of that this week. Look at this. The lows are in the. Let's see. The low tomorrow night or tonight is 50. So we're not in any danger of that. All right, let's talk about some stuff that's going on here locally. The big story is on Saturday morning around 3 in the morning. There was a melee of outside of Growler's Bar in Highlands. And you ever go to Growler's? Hey, Jimmy, you ever go to Growler's? Come and talk with me for a sec, okay? Investigators are up against the clock as they continue gathering evidence for possible criminal charges against all parties involved in an early Saturday morning melee outside Growler's Bar on Highway in Highland. Now, this guy by the name of, I know how Preacher would have said this cat by the name of O'Neill Cruz Burgos of Burnham, Illinois, is in custody at the Lake County Jail, but police can only hold him for 48 hours without filing a charge. So a representative with the prosecutor's office was at Highland Police Department Sunday talking to officers. There are still a lot of unanswered questions, said Bernie Carter, the prosecutor here, okay? So 2 off-duty police officers were involved in the incident, and according to reports, both were shot, one in the head. East Chicago police officer David Aguilera is that guy who was shot in the head. Aguilera was bleeding from the brain and eventually transported to Christ Medical in Oak Lawn. That's according to the FOP. Now I'm reading out of the Times, okay? The other man shot an off-duty Gary officer named Dwayne. I have all sorts of, there's all sorts of Facebook stuff that's going on. So I'm just going to go with what the Times says, okay? Dwayne Brown was working as a bouncer at the bar. He was also shot and taken to Gary Methodist, or reports are that he was shot, okay? Upon arrival, officers discovered Aguilera and Brown injured in the parking lot. Preliminary investigation revealed that 2 men left Growlers and returned and tried to re-enter, but they weren't allowed. They told them, hey, it's too late, you can't come in now. Minutes after arriving on the scene, officers located 2 men walking a block from the bar. They were stopped by police and taken into custody for questioning. So what do you guys make of this, huh? What do you make of Growlers, which is right in downtown Highland? And is it an isolated incident? It could have happened anywhere, and it just so happened that these officers were doing their job, and then these guys happen to have guns and just said, hey, you know what? Let's resolve our conflict by going and shooting. Or is there a hint in this article that perhaps these 2 policemen are somehow involved in this, that it says they're gathering evidence for possible criminal charges against all parties involved. Typically, when 2 people shoot a couple cops, you're automatically thinking, well, let's get these guys and let's put some charges on them. Well, there's something going on here, and what it is ain't exactly clear, because We don't have the charges as of now. And if they picked them up at Saturday at 3 in the morning, and now it's 48 hours later, 3 in the morning, either they let them go or they had to do charges, right? Is that how I'm reading this? Anybody? Any lawyers want to call in? No, you don't, because you're a lawyer. You're too smart for that. What do you guys think? Come on, Highland. Come on, Griffith. Come on, Munster. Come on, Hammond. Come on, Cherville. What's going on? What happened here on Saturday? Is this isolated incident? Or is a late night bar in the region, any late night bar in the region, going to be prone to gunshots breaking out? I mean, it's a different world, right? I mean, Mulaney is a man.
Thank you.
Who decided to stay at home for college.
Yeah.
He is now graduated, and Ryan Walsh is out today, and I congratulate our staff because I really don't notice anymore when Ryan's out. I mean, for a while there, I was like a big baby because Ryan wasn't here, and then I would only work when Ryan was here because I'm a baby. But it doesn't have to do that now because we got Mulaney, we've got Tony Ponick, we got Christina Cortez, who's in there right now, spinning the dials, along with Will Hatzel. Quite frankly, all of these people will go on to successful careers either here or somewhere else. But you stayed home.
Yeah.
That means you went to Growlers once in a while.
I actually went to Growlers a lot, especially right when I turned 21. I'm from Hammond, and there's not, up here in the North Township, there's not that many bars for younger kids really, for younger adults, like between the ages of like 21 to 25, like, where they have like a dance floor and all that other stuff, and there's a lot popping. But I used to go there a lot, and then I stopped going because it started to get kind of rough there at Growlers. I'd walk in there, and, I got my cross on right now. If I walked in there with this out, it's nothing flashy. It's not like any, like, too crazy of a chain or nothing, but they tell me to tuck it in at Growlers. You're not allowed to wear hats in there, I don't think, or at least backward hat. Like, you can't wear your hat backwards or anything like that. And I actually had a friend who they wouldn't let in because he was wearing sweatpants. So I mean, there's they're taking a lot of precautions there because there have been a lot of altercations. Nothing as serious as what happened this weekend, but it's the crowd that's there's gotten a little bit tougher, and there's been a lot of problems.
Can you still smoke in Growlers?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So I've been to Growlers a number of times too, and typically I go to Growlers when Edo Sinisic and Laura Sinisic come into town. They used to have Edo's Bar on near Dad Knows
Indianapolis Boulevard across from Minor Dunn.
Yes. That's where Alexis was a bartender there.
Mm-hmm.
She bartended with my cousins and hung out with my cousins. So when I hit on her one night at a bar, I had an in, and so she let me hit on her, and now here's 30 years later. I don't know what to do with. Anyways, we go there because the Sinisiches smoke, and so we have to go to a bar where they can sit there and smoke. As a matter of fact, I went for a drink after work here on Friday right down the street here to a bar I used to go to all the time, and I met a couple guys there. And I didn't realize you could smoke in that bar, and I went up and sat at the bar. I'm like, I had like 45 minutes to kill, right? So I'm like, you know what? It's like Friday, and I don't want to go home, but I got to wait. So I'm like, I'm going to go into this bar and just sit here by myself and watch Jeopardy or whatever and have a beer bar. And everybody at that bar smokes a cigarette. Yeah. And not only that, they smoke cigarette after cigarette after cigarette. It's like crazy. I go, man, I don't know if I could come here. I came home, all my clothes smelled and stuff. Well, you get that at Growlers a little bit too. Yeah. And maybe that attracts just a little bit of a rougher crowd. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, I mean, think about it in Hammond or like Whiting, EC, there's not many places that are big enough that have a dance floor, So they don't get the crowds. I mean, you get it on a Friday and Growlers is packed. I don't know if you've driven past on like a Saturday night at like 11 o'clock.
Yep. coming home. Like we'll meet. Remember, sometimes we'll meet for
we'll
basketball.
Go to Rodney's.
We'll go to Rodney's and we'll have a pizza.
Yeah.
And then we'll all be leaving. And I think once in a while, like you or some of the younger guys on the WJOB staff will actually just walk across the growlers. I mean, we get 7 or 8 sometimes there, right?
Yeah.
So there's 2 points here. Young people have to. You got a good point. Young people have to have a place to go.
Yeah. There's not. I mean, because if you go like in South County, I mean, there's some places like Long Shots, White Rhino,
Buddy and Pals.
I didn't know that one.
Buddy and Pals?
No.
Anyways, I think.
And then you got the Square. Those are places down, but that's far, especially if you're going to be going out and having a drink or two. You don't want to have to, even if you're under the limit, you still don't want to have to drive all the way from Crown Point back up to, to hear anything. Or even if you're, you don't want to even drive that far. So, I mean, for most people that are up around here in Hammond and EC, they want to go a place that's close, and the closest is Growlers.
Let's talk to Kenny Angotti. Not altogether unfamiliar with going into bars over the years. What's going on here, Kenny? You live in Highlands.
Hey, yeah, I got the text real early that morning from one of the councilmen, and didn't get into too many details or whatever. And I still really don't have any details because I'm not on Facebook or none of that crap. But I love music, Jimmy. You know it, and this is right. I mean, I've walked home from there, but you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb right here and just say, smokers suck. I hope I didn't offend anybody. Well, actually, it's just, and I'm sorry if that was a bad word on the radio, but come on, man. I mean, it's 2018, and you can smoke in a establishment. I know a lot of people, do still smoke, but walk outside, man. I'd love. We go by there, and I see you, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going. Boy, are you kidding? And they smoke. I don't know.
I'm with you on that. I was Mr. Smoke. I was Mr. Smoky Bar, and I mean, I've probably been into thousands of bars. I mean, and you have too. And one day they weren't smoking anymore. It was like the whole world opened up. But there's 2 issues here. There's the smoking, and maybe it's related, and then there's the violence. And that erupted there in downtown Highland, a community that's not accustomed to this kind of stuff.
No.
What is your feeling about this shooting?
Yeah, I mean that's just a shame. I don't think has anything to do with smoking. I'm kind of on a smoking roll here, but yeah, the shooting just has no place. I mean, I don't know. Everybody wants to get their gun license and carry, and I've had a carry permit for 15, 20 years. I've not one time, Jim, have I ever taken a gun out. I always, to me, it's like, well, if you bring it out, you better, and you pull it out, you better shoot, or you better, use it. And I could never, I mean, people will wake up Sunday morning or, go, what did I do? I shot somebody, he's all half stiff and they shoot somebody, do something stupid. I don't know. It's a shame. I mean, yeah, we're not used to in Highland. We're not used to that kind of violence or whatever, or anywhere. But
hey, Kenny, let me go a little further, and I'll just be straight. I've always, I don't know, if it's both because we've both been hit in the face thousands of times.
Yeah.
We share but I've always respected your worldview, and I just want to know what your reaction was when you heard about the shooting on Friday in Santa Fe, Texas.
Oh, geez. I'll tell you right now. My first thing, I blame all this social media crap again. I mean, and these kids, they don't know how to interact. They don't know how to talk to people. You see these kids all they talk to their phone or they text and. Just the whole, Jim, I don't social media. I don't go on Facebook. And I'll go again. All this Google, or not Google, but Amazon and everything. All these stores, man, all these malls are gonna start shutting down. And now what? That's I mean, we got the Highland Grove there and everything. You need these stores to pay for policemen and firemen and, to have nice streets and stuff. I mean, unless they start taxing the heck out of, all this Amazon stuff. But I don't know. I just see the whole social way too fast, man. I mean, bring me back to the 70s, peace, love, and all that hippie stuff.
Leave it right there.
I don't know, Jim. It's nuts. It's a nutty world.
Take me back to the 70s. Has he lost his mind? Is he yours or is he mine? All right, I'll talk to you. Thanks. 219-845-1100. Jimmy Mullaney is sitting with me. He's a young man. Go to Growers. And we got there. Will is doing it. Let's go to Rick on line 3. Rick, you're it. Go.
Yeah, you just got to figure out what occurred over there. I mean, back in the day, I was a bouncer, and if we had a problem inside the bar, you get the people out, and once they're out, you let it go. Now, these two guys came to the door, and they wouldn't let them in. Okay, so what was the altercation where they had to go out to the parking lot? That's what you got to figure out.
Well, here's the deal. First of all, bouncers, I mean, they're not confined to an 8 square foot area right by the entrance, so they're basically in charge of the whole place at that point. There's a security for the whole place and the whole area. You're right. It's kind of weird right now that there wasn't immediate charges against the 2 guys they think shot this place up, right? And they're saying in the paper that possible criminal charges against all parties. It's kind of weird right now. I don't quite get it. But what do you?
Well, if
go ahead.
Guys were from Burnham. You said the one guy was from Burnham.
Yep.
I have a gun permit, and I'm not allowed to carry in Illinois. So if he had a gun permit, he's not allowed to carry in Indiana. So you can get him on that. That's one thing. And attempted murder. It's
What if they come and they say they feared for their lives and they were just in self-defense?
Yeah, well, like I said, I don't understand why the cops or the bouncers or, why they went out, because once you cross out into the public sidewalk, you're on your own. You're not representing the bar. You're on your own. That's what I was always told when I was a bouncer. You go outside, you're on your own.
You were a bouncer where?
I used to bounce at the Rob Roy in East Hazelcrest back when the drinking age was 19.
Mm-hmm.
I bounced at a place called Tootsie McVickers in Calumet City. I bounced at a place called Bratz in Calumet City. That was a gangster bar. And then a place called Svoboda's.
Svoboda's I've been to. God,
Yeah.
where was it? I've been to Svoboda's a bunch of times. That was like a dance place, right?
Well, it was an antique. It was next to the Point East. It
Yes.
used to be on Route 30.
Gosh, you could go out there and pick up Tinley Park chicks all day long. But anyways, I do
The
digress.
best place was the Rob Roy. Rob Roy in East Hazelcrest on 175th and Dixie Highway. The drinking age was 19 years old at the time for beer and wine. All the tomatoes from Homewood and Flossmoor used to come there. Oh,
All right, well,
man.
I don't know
We
what
had
a
17
tomato is. I'm getting an idea. All right,
Yeah.
man, we got to do bouncer stories one day. Thanks a lot, Rick. Talk to you, buddy. All right, has he lost his mind? Is he yours or is he mine? I bet your dad's been to Svoboda's.
Maybe.
Svoboda's and Point
probably.
East. I used to crawl around this area too a lot and go into Illinois because like they say, Earth girls are easy. It just seemed like if you went across the state line, your odds went up for some reason. Just any woman with a Illinois background just tended to be just a little bit more amenable to any suggestions you might have. All right, let's talk to let's see how Cindy's doing this morning. Cindy, what are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm just sitting here listening to you talk about all the women you used to pick up.
Hey, wait a second.
Boring.
You weren't one of them, were you?
Oh, hell no. I mean, heck no.
Did you ever, like, when you were younger? I mean, have you guys been together since like high school or something? So you never were out.
Oh no.
So
No. And even when we were together, there were still nights when we went out separate, and that's when I would hit all. It would just.
Svoboda's and Point. What was the one?
Oh yeah, Castaways.
Castaways. Yes. Over there by the ball.
Really alley. Yeah, and then they had a little bowl on the side of it.
Yes.
The something hut.
Yeah. What was the one
Banana Patch.
Banana Patch. What was the one over here at 169th and Klein Avenue? It was a dance.
Oliver's.
Oliver's? Was that what it was?
It was next to Jewel.
Yeah.
In Hammond.
Yeah, it was right over by Morton High School.
Yep, I think that was
Is
Oliver's.
that what the name of it was? Okay, I'm thinking of a different name. Like,
you're thinking of that place that then went like country where they had the bull in there?
I don't know. It was.
Well, that was Sally's.
No, there was a place where it was almost strictly a dance place, and that was a very.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was in
know
the
name.
mall, and I can't remember, but it was a big. So what's going on? You live in Highland, don't you?
We heard it.
You heard it?
We heard it. Yes, we did. It woke us up. And I asked my husband, was that gunshot? It sounded so close. We thought it was in the lot by Lincoln's. And so I asked my husband, was that gunshot? He says, no, it was too fast. It went boom, 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 boom. It was some shooting going on. My niece was in the bar. And she says that there was a girl that they were beating up at the bar. I'm not sure if the girl was with the two guys, but they went inside the bar and they yelled, everybody get to the back, they're shooting outside. So they all ran to the back. She feared because she didn't know where the girl that she was in there with was. So they finally caught up with each other, and then they were detained because the girl's car was parked in front of Growlers. And she just said that after that, she went home, and she just said that's the last time she's going to go there. It's scary. It's really scary. For one, there's too many unanswered questions. If they stopped these guys a block away from the bar, why weren't they running? I would have been running faster than a bullet. They had no gun. They still got one guy, and they let one go. Now, it's been on the Chicago news, because that's where we've seen it, where they've interviewed the girl. Now, I've heard a lot of things, seen a lot of things on Facebook were asked, and, I guess the appearance of the girl, I guess she had a ring in her nose and everything. That doesn't make you bad. But apparently, the two bouncers were with the two guys, and then the off-duty cop who had been in there in Growlers drinking butted in, and he identified himself as a police officer. And they're saying that that's when he got shot. Nobody knows what happened. This is still, as you say, charges could be against everyone. They've got to find out what exactly happened. I am all for the men in blue, but you still have some out there that carry their badge as if it was a shield. I've seen it. I've experienced it. And I'm not cutting down any officers. They are totally respected by me. But you still have some that are going to carry out the big bad guy. And who knows, these two guys that went in there, they never said these guys were drunk or obnoxious. You don't have the story behind all of that. And they don't have a gun on the guy. So we also heard that one of the officers, went in his car and got his gun out. So there's a lot of stories going on.
There's a lot of stories going on, and we don't know what has happened. And hopefully, the 48 hours is up. I don't know if they charge them or not, and I'll try to get something today on this. But here's the deal: you're laying in bed, and I think I know where you live, if I remember correctly. And so you're close enough to downtown Highland that you heard the shots. Around how many shots did you hear, do you think?
Oh, there had to be 8 or 9. It was just consistent. And my husband said, a gun doesn't shoot that fast. And I said, well, I've not really experienced what gunshot sounds like because I've never been around guns. And that's why I asked him, is that gunfire? He says, no, it's too fast. But apparently that's what crazies are using when we go to these schools and shooting up these poor innocent kids. So I don't know. It's just a scary thing. You won't see me going to any more festivals. You know, like they have it here in Highland, the Crown Point. I haven't been there in years, only in fear that one of these crazies are just going to start shooting here an innocent bystander. And it happens.
So you're not going to go to big crowds?
I don't go to big crowds, no. Haven't for a while, haven't for a couple of years now. And it's just in fear that, you know, you could just be standing there or hear something and you go to look and pow, you're done. You just don't know. People are nuts these days.
You got like 4 or 5 excellent festivals in downtown Highland there at the square. You got St. Tom's Fest. You got Griffith's Western Days.
Mm-hmm.
You have the
Festival of the Lakes.
Festival of the Lakes. You don't go to any of that because you're afraid you might get shot?
Well, you know, I don't mean to judge people by what they look, but you can almost tell that there are a lot of people there that are there for only one thing. And that's either to cause trouble, or if they see someone that they know that they have a riff with, they don't care who's around. If they're going to shoot, they're going to shoot. And that's just my opinion on it. I've just kind of stayed away from it when there's a lot of people around. And only because I don't want to be involved in that. I don't want one of my friends, my husband, my kids to be involved in something like that. It's the scariest thing you've probably ever seen.
Tell us about your niece. How's she handling this?
Oh, she was out of her mind when she got home. She was just she couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe that she was in that type of a situation. She's only 23, and for her to already say, I'm not going back there, you know, that puts a fear in you. You just don't know. These guys might have been clean-cut, dressed guys that went in there. And, you know, they just didn't like not being told they couldn't do something. And who knows the attitude of the bouncers, because, you know, my daughter's been involved with bouncers out in Cherville on the 30. There's a bar there. It used to be like a baseball, an all-sports bar.
Oh, it was long shots?
Yes. Now, she was in there, and she had problems with a bouncer. And luckily, my other daughter was with her because the bouncer was darn right after my daughter. And my other daughter, you know, now maybe my daughter may have had too much to drink, but it doesn't call for bouncers to react in that way. There's a way that they're supposed to act, and there's a way that they're supposed to keep their cool.
All right.
If you can't do it, don't take that type of a job.
All right. Well, Cindy, I'm sorry you guys got woken up by gunshots in Highland. And is that the first time that's ever happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other time that we see something going on like that, stabbing at Franco's, okay, we only knew something was going on because of the police and the sirens of, you know, the police.
All right. I don't want to go into the stabbing. We'll just leave it at the shooting over tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot. Talk to you. Once we're talking about is the melee in downtown Highland at the Times is calling a melee. 2 shot, according to reports. 2 policemen, 1 in the head. East Chicago officer David Aguilera. Let me take one more. Otherwise, she's going to burn me. Hi, how are you? Cousin Phyllis, what's up?
Morning.
What do you think?
Not a good morning. Hasn't been for a few days, I guess. I can just say starting with Friday.
It's the shooting in Santa Fe, Texas, starting with Friday, and then this started getting around on Saturday morning that there was a shooting at Growlers. Yeah, it hasn't been a good weekend, and it's not all that easy right now. What do you think about this?
Friday deal, Saturday deal, both Fridays, you might as well say. Guns, it's the people that have them. I said it before. The sad part about it is and I'm not knocking you, but the news media puts their face out there. The kid down the street sees it. Oh, Joey got on the news. He got his 15 minutes of fame. Let's do that next weekend. The only thing I can say is he should be 6 foot under. They should be 6 foot under. And us not pay for him for the rest of our lives to have 3 meals a day. Sorry, it's not fair to those 10 other people, their families, their friends. They have a lot more. Quit putting it out there. Quit putting their names out there, their faces. They're just sitting there gloating. This is the best thing that happened to me. I'm national news. You're not. You're scum.
You got nieces and nephews.
Yes,
Now,
I do,
my
plenty
nieces
of
and
them.
nephews, and same here. I've asked them about this. Do you guys think about this? To a T, they say, yeah, we think about it. I mean, do you guys feel safe in school? Yeah, I guess I kind of feel safe, but I know that in any time somebody could come in and start shooting. What kind of feel? Did you ever have any feeling at all going to grade school or going over to that half of high school that you went to?
Hey, now let's don't go there.
Okay, sorry, it just slipped out.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. I know it did.
Yeah.
That's your normal way.
Yeah, but I mean,
No,
yeah,
I never felt that. You in high school, not grade school so much, or middle school, you seen knives, kids acting, like they were going to really do something after school. We had the situations where, there's going to be a riot after school. There would only be one squad car out there, and everybody went their separate ways. Just one squad, that's all it took.
what about your nieces and nephews? What's their level of fear going to school?
High, very high level.
I can't even
because
imagine.
of the situation.
I can't even imagine. You go to school and you're like, you think of all the kids that are even listening now that are forced to listen right now, or they're like, cut out all.
Don't want it there.
They don't want to be there at
Born
school.
here.
They don't even want to be at school anyways. But now they've got this added thing of there was another shooting on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as a parent, what do you tell your kid? And do you just not talk about it? Because they
Look how
know
many-
everything about it. They know everything about the whole shooting.
Is homeschooling going up?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, what do you tell your kid on the way right now? It's dark as night out. It all of a sudden got out here. What do you tell them on the way to school, Phyllis?
Stay as safe as you possibly could be. And it's not only the kids, Jim. It's the teachers, the personnel. The first thing they think of is protect the children. Protect the children, the kids. I know high school kids don't like to be called children, but it's just automatic. As if you're going to cover them, you're going to take a bullet. We have plenty of teachers in our family, plenty of people that work at the schools.
I just keep coming back to this. I mean, I remember some of the most, I guess, anxiety-filled moments is when you're like, all right, see you later, and you kiss your kid, and the kid gets out of the
Yep.
car. You're giving your kid up to a school. Now, we moved over to Munster just so they would go to St. Tom's, partly because just we felt that was the safest place. But, I think about it and think about all these parents that drop their kid off and they kiss their kid after school, got violin or whatever. And then that's it. That was it.
Right.
And never going to happen. All right. Hey, I saw cousin Doreen in for the weekend.
Yes, I heard about that, but I'm glad she did. I'm glad she got to visit, especially with Auntie. Tomorrow's not guaranteed, and neither is today.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things going on in the family that I was unaware of. So you and I need to get together soon. All right, I'll see you.
Yeah, we sure do. Take
All right,
care.
Talk
Bye.
to you. Hey, guys, I'm way behind. Stay on the line. I'll be right to you. Jimmy, stay with me.
This is
Been serving the area since 1947 and provides insurance for life, home, auto, business, and more. If you're looking for one-on-one service, the best rates, knowledge, and experience, Ogren Insurance is your agency. Our number one goal is to provide you with the coverage you need at the most competitive price. To learn about the insurance solutions and services we offer in Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, call 219-933-0076 or see our website, OgrenInsurance.com. Ogren Insurance, 6929 Holman Avenue in Hammond. Accidents happen. Be protected with Ogren Insurance.
Come out to Napleton's River Oaks Honda during the Honda Memorial Day sales event and save big on all new 2018 Hondas in stock, including Civics, Accords, CRVs, and Pilots. This weekend only, the first 25 customers get a free smartwatch with a test drive. Come find out why you always get our best deal at River Oaks Honda. As always, Indiana residents pay Indiana sales tax. Write off 8094 on Torrance Avenue or online at riveroakshonda.com.
Second to none since 1931.
Must be 18 years or older with valid driver's license. Limit 1 per household. No purchase necessary while supplies last.
You know the great thing about Indiana weather? You never have to wait long for it to change. All 4 seasons on any given day. So when it's calm, sign up for power outage text alerts from NIPSCO. And the next time Mother Nature is in a mood, we'll send you a notification if your power goes out, along with an estimated time you can expect it back on. Just go to nipsco.com/alerts. We'll keep you covered out there.
Here in Indiana, the Trump tax cuts are already working. Hoosier businesses are hiring, raising wages, and giving employee bonuses. In Washington, Senator Joe Donnelly said this:
if they bring a good tax bill before me that helps middle-class families, count me in every time.
This is Trump, Senator
Donnelly and on enhancing job-killing regulations, which may be even more important than those incredible tax cuts.
Donnelly voted no on tax reform, even though the average Indiana middle-class family will receive a tax cut of more than $2,000. It's time for Senator Donnelly to change course. Call Joe Donnelly at 202-224-4814. Tell him the Trump tax cuts are working and to vote yes on S-2687 to make our tax reforms permanent. Paid for by One Nation, www.onenationamerica.org.
294 around the city is moving along pretty well. 80 going east and west. That looks pretty good. The is moving despite all of this rank weather that's and if you guys are watching us here, can you swing the robotic camera out down here and get an idea of exactly how dark it got all of a sudden? And if you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, which you can right now, just type in WJOB12. 48 degrees or 50 degrees here at Van Til Studios, and it is dark as night. All this it started raining profusely. It is just a nasty morning, and we got rain and thunderstorms for a good part of the day, so just get used to it. There it is. You see Slagle's head, but if you're watching it, you can see right down the Indianapolis Boulevard, and it is just a nasty, rainy day. Luckily, it's not affecting the roadways so far. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Let's take a look at what's going on in weather. Of course, this one's brought to you by our good friends at Laborers Local 41, which I am a proud alum of that fine union of men and women who, no offense to any of the other crafts that are out there, but I always felt that laborers knew everybody's job, and then everybody else just knew their job. So congratulations. Visit them at labor41.com. And it is 50 degrees at 41 in Munster right now. And at the IKORCC Training Center on I-65, it's 51 degrees. At Local 395 in Portage, it is 50 degrees. Goes up to only in the mid-60s today, mid-60s tomorrow, but you get clouds and sun tomorrow. By Wednesday, partly sunny and warmer, and then by Thursday, mostly sunny and very warm. So it takes a little while for these for this front to move out. And Jim Slagle's with me. Jim, how you doing?
Good. Good morning, Jim.
Jim is the business representative for Carpenters Local 599, and he just kind of sits with me just because carpenters are people too, you know. He is not here in an official capacity because just so, he's just going to stop by and we're just going to see what's going on with carpenters and talk about what's going on in the region. But Slagle's about as informed as anybody I know in the unions about what's going on. He's also a police commissioner in Highland, Indiana. And I will review what the big story of the day is. Around 2:45 in the morning on Saturday, a call went out and shots fired at near Growler's Bar in downtown Highland. And according to reports, 2 people shot both cops, one in the head, David Aguilera, an East Chicago officer. 2 guys were picked up near the scene, and one was let go, one was held. They don't know if that's them. I mean, we don't know where we're at on this. There's a lot of unanswered questions. When did you get the call?
I got a text early Saturday morning from the chief, just letting us know there was an event going on there and that it was under investigation. And he keeps us updated for the information he finds out. And what we know right now is that it's in the prosecutor's hands. It's a pretty big mess, and they want to make sure they get it right before they make any indictments or go out there and arrest anybody. They want to get the full story. So that's where it's at right now, as far as I know. It's being investigated, and with the prosecutors and the investigators to make sure they get it right before anything else goes on.
Well, I had a couple of things that I wanted to talk about with Slagle, but, you guys are on the phone. Let's take some phone calls, 219-845-1100, and let's go to Michael on line 6. Michael, you're it. Go.
Yeah, hey, how you doing? Hey, I was calling for a couple questions. I've been hearing that there's been some lead in our water and soil, like in Hammond area and Whiting area. I wonder if you guys ever figured out, if you guys heard anything about that.
I have heard nothing about this. I don't know anything. I mean, Slagle's shaking his head. What do you mean, in your water?
Yes, they found lead in our water in where it's the Whiting, the Robertsdale area soil.
You know what I did hear? I did hear that they had to close down some drinking fountains somewhere because there was some lead in the drinking fountains. But I think they were outdoor drinking fountains in some parks or something, if I remember correctly. But that's all I've heard.
I don't have anything on that. What part of the city do you live in?
I live in Central Hammond. We're right in the middle.
Right in the middle. So, you know what? I don't have anything on that, but I'll tell you what, since the question's out there, I'm sure I'll get some information coming to me.
Yeah, because I've been hearing they found in the area, Whiting part of the area, there's lead. There's supposedly lead was found in the soil and water.
Isn't it weird? I don't know if there's any, validity to what Michael's talking about, but, it makes us hyper vigilant about lead to see what happened over here at the smelting place where they built the housing project. That's just a tragedy. And, I've told people before that I don't really cover that story because my mom lived right by there and wound up dying of cancer, and so did all my uncles. I don't even want to deal with it. At some point, I think, hopefully we'll get some resolution there on exactly what went down. But until then, everybody's worried about lead really heavily around here, and rightfully so. So,
because last year my son was diagnosed with cancer with Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 4. From last year, my son was. That's why, I got questions that, they're talking about there's lead in the soil, lead in the water. You know what I mean? Something's going on, but nobody ain't saying nothing.
How is what's up? What's the situation with your son?
It'll be a year tomorrow, but it's cancer free.
All right, man. Let's rejoice with that right now because it's raining like hell out. We're dealing with all sorts of shootings. It's a gloomy Monday, and your son is a year cancer free. How old is he?
He's 13.
He's 13, man. It had to be a tough time when.
Trust me, it was.
Was it chemo, radiation?
Yeah, he had chemo, and he had radiation too.
All right, man. Well, keep us updated. Let's go. Every day's a gift, huh?
Yes, it is, sir. Yes, it is.
All right, Michael. Thanks a lot. Talk to you. There you go. Well, there's some sunshine, right?
Yeah, some
a
good
year
news.
cancer-free for the 13-year-old kid. We'll take that. Let's go to Tech on line 4. Tech, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Jed?
What's
hey,
up?
Just calling about that little earlier about not wanting to go to public places, and I think it's really sad that she, it's her choice, but it's sad that she chooses not to go out and enjoy and be out in front of people, and she touched on the media. It seems like every time you turn on the news, it's who's been murdered, who's been shot, who's been out in the, did a shooting spree. I'm not sure how you control that. You do the best you can, but when it comes to schools, I don't think we should ever settle. Just say, well, school shootings are the norm. I think that's actually submitting to the fact that, well, we'll always have school shootings, and I think we should be shooting for a higher standard that kids should always go to a safe environment and always strive for that. It's pretty scary. Commander-in-Chief says maybe teachers should be having firearms to their side, and that would solve a lot of problems, and there's no sense in that in any way, shape, or form, the leader of the free world to be saying something like that. So, I just think we have too many guns, more guns than we have citizens, and it's too easy to get a firearm. But on the other hand, people who do these shootings or are criminal, they're not in their right mind. It's just like suicide. Someone takes their own life with a firearm. They're not in the right frame of mind, and it is a mental issue, but it's also a gun issue. It's an access issue. It's not a gun issue. It's an access issue to guns. And I know Dick Durbin said it a while back. Illinois, one of the big reasons why they have a gun problem is because Indiana just loves guns. They have gun shows. Some criminals, they like to go buy it, whole purchases. It's like the ATM of firearms when Lake County has a gun show. I mean, if anybody wants to deny that, then you're naive. So.
All right, Tech. Thanks for your comments. I want to just say I want to follow up on one. That woman doesn't want to go to public places anymore. She doesn't want to go to the festivals. She doesn't want to go to malls. And can you blame her, Tech?
No, I can't blame her. But on the other hand, I don't want her. I hate to see someone live in fear like that, like 9/11. People don't want to fly anymore because of 9/11. Some people, I'll never get on a plane just for the fact they don't want to be on a plane. But, it is a risk every time you step out the door. You don't know, when your time comes. Congratulations to the gentleman and his son is cancer-free. I mean, that is very nice, uplifting news, But, she's going to live in fear and not be able to go out and, maybe she experienced, if she had experienced something or she had a gun shooting, maybe she has post-traumatic stress disorder, I would understand that.
Yeah, well, hold on. All right, I got to let you go. You got too much background noise. Thanks, Tech. The woman heard 8 or 9 shots in her bedroom on Saturday night. It's
pretty scary.
It's pretty scary, man.
Pretty scary. But I just people, go places and letting the bad people win. I mean, it's hard. I mean, everyone's got to make their own decision, right? Where they feel safe, what they want to do. Maybe it's a parental issue that these kids are, these people who do all these things. Maybe there was some issues back in their childhood that caused them to be not so good people. I don't know. But to stop doing anything out of fear of something might happening. You're not going to get in a car because you're getting in an accident. I mean, it's a terrible thing that people got to live like that, in that kind of fear.
I know Cindy. She's just a normal woman with a normal family, and I don't go to. I'm not going to festivals. I don't go to crowds. I don't go to malls. Just any of it. I'm like, wow, that is. Now he brings it up. She's living in fear. And warranted. Let's go to Mad Mac. We'll take Mad Mac, and then Slagle and I got something we got to talk about. Hey, Mad Mac, what's up?
I think that tech guy is looking to date Cindy, from what it sounded like. I think he was looking for her number or something.
Will you just stick to the topic at hand rather than your sordid mind prancing around? What's up?
Man, then you go through Uncle Phyllis's call. Woo! I was almost going to throw myself out my window after that call. A little Debbie Downer there. But hey, speaking of bars, Jimmy, you remember that famous bar, the Banana Hammock? Remember that place in Hammond?
Where are you going, man? Just stop. We
Speaking
were
of
talking
that-
about violence. Hold on a second.
The bar was Cassidy's, I think you were talking about.
Cassidy's. That's what I was thinking of. Yes.
Oh, I don't know why I was thinking Banana Hammock, but listen, a couple shots in Hammond. I mean, that's an average night in Hessville, man. Come on, that's no big deal. Just go look at that Welcome to Hessville page or whatever. I mean, you got and Jimmy, I'm not kidding you. You got people on that thing every night saying they're hearing shots ringing out. So you folks in Highland, that's just like the welcome wagon to Highland. A little excitement, and no big deal. You can figure that out in 2 seconds flat. You go back to my old hood in Englewood. That's a lunch occurrence, 20 shots minimum. And they're not talking about at the bar either, okay? So it's, a couple little shots ring out. Everybody's good. I think your buddy MX made a way.
Every day, man. He's going to run into some union family one day.
Oh,
Long
yeah.
situation. Hey, listen, man.
There's snowflakes from law.
Let me ask you a direct question, okay? I got you. Okay, here's a direct question. Think of Cindy saying that out of violence, she does attend public events.
Well, that's kind of up to her. But like I tell my kids, time you go somewhere, you better be profiling every person you come across. When you sit in a restaurant against the wall with most of that restaurant, when you're in traffic and you're not familiar with the neighborhood, you better be in the middle lane. You better have the windows up, the radio off. You better be 3 paces behind any car in front of you in case you got to go. Because in this day and age, baby, I wouldn't trust my neighbor, but I never hesitate to go out, though.
All right, thanks. We'll talk later. We'll be right back. Slagle and I got to talk about the opening of the brand new facility on I-65 right after this.
I want to be like the pretty people on my TV.
Now you can.
All I need are gleaming white teeth.
We can help you.
Can you find the right dentist for me?
Dr. Coulteritis, he does cosmetic dental.
Will he hurt me?
No, he's gentle.
I'm terrified of pain.
He's the kindest in the land.
He sounds great. Could you repeat his name?
Dr. Andy Coulteritis, 219-836-1111.
Thanks.
For a fast and friendly car wash, go to Easy Clean Car Wash. Easy Clean is happy to announce their new location's grand opening at 1637 45th Street in Griffith. Open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Or stop by one of our 3 other locations in Highland, Cherville, and Lansing. Free vacuuming, carpet shampooer, air freshener, and towel with every wash. And it's fast, easy, convenient, safe, and gentle. Go to myeasyclean.com for more information.
Jedi's Garden Family Restaurant, located at the corner of Klein and Ridge, is Griffith's locally owned family restaurant with a down-home feel and made-from-scratch favorites you will love. Open daily from 5 a.m. to midnight, Jedi's has you covered with breakfast omelets, salads, stir-fry, seafood, and steak sandwiches. In addition to our award-winning lemon rice soup, 4 additional soups are served daily. Along with our recently expanded spirits menu, Mondays are half-price margaritas, and Wednesdays are $1 off domestics. Mention WJOB for 20% off your order. We'll see you at Jedi's at the corner of Klein and Ridge.
Eduardo's Natural Pizza in Munster has built a reputation for serving the finest Chicago-style stuffed pizza, loaded with fresh and natural ingredients. Not interested in stuffed pizza? Eduardo's has the best thin crust pizza, appetizers, salads, pastas, and more. Pick up a half-baked pizza from Eduardo's to take home and bake at your convenience. It's the perfect solution for those hectic nights. Eduardo's is located at 7920 Calumet Avenue in Munster. Dine in or carry out by calling 836-2010.
709 in the Calumet region. You can watch us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We are creating our own basic television channel here in Northwest Indiana, and all of you that are watching and listening to it, you know what, you're part of it. A high of 68 today. It is a nasty, rainy day right now. All the carpenters and laborers turning around in their cars right now going home. Iron workers and electricians. You know, it's just not a real good day to be working outside. Hopefully you've got indoor work. Right now it's 51 degrees at the Carpenters IKO RCC Center in Maryville. In Munster at Labor's 41, it's 51 degrees. And then at local 395, it's 52 degrees in Portage. And it really doesn't get that much nicer. You're pretty much looking at it right now. Tomorrow, though, get a little sun that might slip through at a high of 67. By Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, it warms up considerably near the end of the week, and the sun comes out. We've got that to look forward to. You got the weather brought to you by all those unions I just mentioned. And then what do you have in terms of the travel brought to you by our good friends at Napleton River Oaks Honda? Despite the nasty weather, it's moving along pretty well on 294. You got a little bit of tightness going through Oak Lawn there, but it's moving. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford's lighter than normal. Believe it or not, I mean, it's lighter than normal, but once you hit the merge and go onto the Dan Ryan, that's got some stop and go all the way up the Dan Ryan. So Bishop Ford, I mean, it starts at basically the Steel Bridge, and then all the way into the city off and on, you've got some issues. Skyway and Toll Road, Borman I-65 look pretty good. And go visit. Looking for a car? Start at Napleton River Oaks Honda. It's a good place to start. Jim Slagle is business representative with Local 599. You guys had a big deal last week. Tell people what it was.
We did. We had our grand opening for our new facilities over there in Maryville, Indiana. It's a campus. It has the administration building for the council, the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters, and it has a brand new training center for all of the carpenters and millwrights that live in basically the northwest 7 counties of Indiana here. That's where we handle a lot of that office. It was a great big deal. We had international out there. We had Pete Foskey was out there. We had people from Maryville out there from our town council. It's to show off how much we dedicate our profession to training. We know that it's training in this world. You know, you don't need to go to college to get a good education, but if you do go to become a carpenter, you will have a college degree by the time you come out. Even in that training center, we train more than just carpentry skills. We train some soft skills in there, communication skills, writing skills. Every apprentice in their first year gets a class on how to manage money. Because you get a kid fresh out of high school and he starts making good money. All of a sudden, there's a brand new truck and a jet ski and maybe a boat sitting in the driveway. A couple years later, maybe you can't afford them so much, right? Because construction is still an up and down world. You still have to be prepared for layoffs and you got to save your money. We make good money, but those guys out there, they're earning it.
By the way, who was that one guy? I don't know if it was a Midwest, but he used to hear. Tell me this guy.
Dave is the Midwestern District Vice President. He covers the Midwestern section of the state. I believe we have 5 district vice presidents, 1 from Canada and 4 from the United States. So he's got 1/4 of the United States. Dave, yes, he's out of Local 1005, which is actually chartered out of Maryville. And he worked his way up from an organizer to an agent. Then he was director of organizing. And then he became our executive secretary treasurer of the council, which is the top position inside the council. And our council is pretty progressive, I feel. We get out there and we go out there and we're trying to get out in front of things. Too long, unions laid back and waited for things to happen to them. So we're out there and the general president, Mr. McCarron, he saw something in Dave and said, this, they're doing in Indiana, Kentucky, working. We'd like to see that branch out. So a few years ago, he promoted him up to Western District Vice President. Pretty big deal.
Was he out of LaPorte or?
That's Maryville.
But I mean, he's out of the Maryville local. He grew up in Portage or something like that.
He actually lived in LaPorte for a while. He had a few different houses in the area, so he's a regionite.
He's a region guy, and I was kind of cool to see that. I went out and they had it's kind of funny. You could tell guys who grew up in the trades and then put a suit on, because it doesn't matter how nice that suit is and how long they've been wearing it. There's still a carpenter wearing a suit. And they were all over the place. And I started talking to the Louisville guys, the Columbus, Ohio guys, a couple of Toledo guys, and they all came in for the opening of this. Now, it is a massive facility. You could see old guy 65. I mean, you could put several back. I mean, it's the biggest. It's got to be one of the biggest non-steel or oil-related buildings in the region and inside. And although it is steel and oil related, I guess, in its own way. But you have a little section there about working with hospitals. I didn't quite get that.
That's the ICRA display, we call it, Infectious Control Risk Assessment. We have a class that we put on. It's called Best Practices in Healthcare. What's that to do? Over 99,000 people a year die from secondary infections from hospitals. And they can contribute a certain percentage of that directly to the construction that goes on in hospitals. And if anybody's been at a hospital lately, they know that pretty much every hospital in the area is under construction pretty much all the time. They're doing something, technology in their field, they're remodeling or whatever. So what this does is we teach our people a 40-hour class how to set up barricades, how to make sure that those contaminants that are inside that construction site don't get outside to the general public or the other patients. So it's for threefold, right? It's to protect the workers, the people who work in the hospital. It's to protect the patients, and it's to protect the people who come in there to visit the people in the hospital. So it's a win-win situation. We have many hospitals in the area that mandate that in order to work in their facility, that they have to have that training. So we set it up to look like a hospital.
It looks like a hospital inside there. It's an amazing facility. And then there's another building that is to the north of it. And that is corporate offices, and that's where you're going to be, right? Now, has an announcement been made on all of that yet, like where you're going to be? And because no? All right.
So for the administration, for the council, yes, we've been working out of there for a month, and we need to change our ads, by the way, because we have the old addresses.
Yeah.
And I've been working with our people, our marketers, that we're going to come up with some new ideas. But you keep coming, you're probably responding back to $5.99. Okay?
Yeah, $5.99. It's just different. You're with
Right.
the council. I get that.
Yeah, so $5.99 is the local I belong to. The locals are members of the council, and Local 599 is its own entity. They make their own decisions there. Their executive board and their members decides. Now, I will say that Local 599 has been looking into options to do something with their building, and but nothing has been decided 100% yet. When that is decided, I'm sure we'll talk about it and we'll bring it out. But that's voted on at the local level. So whatever happens with our building that's over there by Hammond High, that'll be decided by those members of Local 599. And
I'm glad you put it that way, because I don't even know what's going to happen, and it hasn't been announced. So I'll leave it at that. We'll just go. That's what's going on. Slagle's in here. He's a business rep with 599. I just asked him to stop by on his way to work. Hey, you went somewhere last night, Nazareth Home thing. Tell us about it.
Yeah, yesterday was the Nazareth Home Charity. It's a pretty nice event. If people don't know what the Nazareth Home is, the Nazareth Home is a house right outside of the emergency room at St. Catherine's, and it takes in children from birth to, I think it's 5 years old, that have health issues that cannot be taken care of at their home, or their families can't take care of it. And so this was one of their fundraisers that they do every year. Kurt Cook from the city of Hammond, he's big into this. He's the one that's actually gotten me involved.
We had his wife on,
Joyce, yes.
Joyce, always positive Joyce, promoting this.
Mm-hmm.
So nice event, huh?
Oh, it was fantastic. I took my wife into modeling. They have a fashion show, so I offered my wife's services. So since I volunteered her, she told me I had to go with. So they put me to work too. It was really pretty cool. I greeted people as they came in the door, and then I served mimosas to all the ladies, and then I helped the models come down off the stage. But I mean, when you see these all these people getting together, and they brought the kids, and the kids were there, right? And it just such a great event. What better cause can you have than to take care of unfortunate children, right? I would say they raised quite a bit of money. I'll tell you what, though. So my wife acted as a model, and so they dress them up, and I can't remember the name. It's a boutique in Dyer. It's kind of like it's a consignment boutique in Dyer, but it's incredible. The clothes they have there most of them are brand new, but you get them for a discount price. But they dress up all these ladies, and they look so good that they want to. I think the ladies wind up buying all the outfits that they wear. So it works out good for them.
Everybody wins.
Yeah.
He's Jim Slagle. The Nazareth Home deal was yesterday. You heard from Joyce Cook. You can still donate to Nazareth Home anytime. Just check them out on their website. Slagle, thanks for stopping by, my friend.
All right, Jim. Have a good day.
All right, man. Talk to you. Be right back. Billy Baker.
Register now for summer classes at Ivy Tech Community College with locations in Crown Point, East Chicago, and Gary. Classes start on June 4th. Ivy Tech is the top choice of Indiana's high school seniors and Indiana's adult students. We have experienced instructors, state-of-the-art facilities, and tuition under $4,200 a year. Learn more at ivytech.edu or call 888-IVY-LINE. That's 888-489-5463.
Man, are you taking Viagra or Cialis for ED? ED should not stand for expensive drugs. If you're taking Viagra, talk with your doctor about Sildenafil. Now you could get the same active ingredient in Viagra in generic 20 milligram tablets for less than $2 each, saving over $30 per dose. Available at Vito's Pharmacy. Call us 219-228-7200 or visit us at vitospharmacy.com.
Vito's Pharmacy.
Carpenters Local 599 joins with other Carpenter locals to build the local economy and has been doing so for over 117 years. We are proud to be a member of the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters, which is threefold: training, professionalism, and partnership. We also offer some of the best benefits in the industry. To find out how to become a member of Carpenters Local 599, contact us at 219-942-0518 or log on to ikorcc.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Frank J. Mervan, North Township trustee. I would like to share with you why my coworkers and I love working for you at the North Township trustee's office.
Hello, my name is Lori Polgar, and I'm the Chief of Staff for North Township. I reside in Munster, Indiana. I enjoy working for Frank Mervan, our trustee, because he is always going above and beyond to help our community, and he shows compassion that is always needed during difficult times in individuals' lives.
Hello, I'm Jerry Siska from Highland, Indiana. I am the Director of Transportation here at North Township and have served in that capacity for over 20 years. Dial-A-Ride services the communities of Whiting, East Chicago, Hammond, Highland, and Munster. What I enjoy most about my time with Dial-A-Ride is my ability to help others and making a positive impact on someone's life.
Again, this is Frank J. Mervan, North Township trustee. If you or someone you know needs assistance, contact us today. Remember, at the North Township trustee's office, we connect people with services.
It's that time of the year. Graduation, showers, retirement, and birthdays. Catering by Steve's in Hegwish is a full-service catering company and caters for all occasions. We can deliver to your party, or you can enjoy our delicious food in our banquet rooms. Also, every Friday we have our fish fry from 4 to 8 p.m. and all-you-can-eat fish and chips the first Friday of every month. Look at all we have to offer at cateringbysteve.com, or you can call 773-646-1071. Steve's is located at 13200 South Baltimore in Hegwish and has been serving the Calumet region since 1958.
What's going on? It's 7:23 in the Calumet region. I'm Jim Dietlow, host of JED in the region. You can catch us out in video on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I'm looking at you with this pepper-filled goatee and amazing rain behind us right here. It is 51 degrees here at the Strack Van Studios. The tilapia on sale is amazing at Strack and Van Tels right now. And it's only going up to a high in the mid-60s. Rain and thunderstorms all day long into the early afternoon, and then it should taper off. It's just kind of a nasty day outside. It's been a nasty day all weekend, a nasty Monday. and then you get all these killings and shootings and stuff. So next thing you know, your smile is turned upside down. Yeah, and a high of mid-60s tomorrow, clouds and sun. And then by the end of the week, it warms up to in the mid-80s by Friday. So it progressively gets warmer starting on Wednesday and sunnier. So you get a good end of the week. So let's all get into that part. This area of the show is brought to you by Rush Radio Surgery. Their dedicated and experienced team mission is to provide the highest quality and most compassionate care. Visit rushsurgery.com. Then let's take a look at what's happening on the roadways. It's 294, a little bit heavy as you approach the Stevenson, but moving. 80 going east and west of Joliet's fine. Bishop Ford moves pretty well, but once you hit the merge, it's pretty tight all the way up the stop and go up to Dan Ryan. So, there's areas of the Dan Ryan where you actually will move, but then you'll maybe have a little bit of a tight spot around 87th, another tight spot where it merges with the Skyway. So the weather, eventually you knew what was going to do to the Dan Ryan. It was going to slow things down when it rains this hard. The Skyway is being moved. So was the toll road, and Borman looks good. And I-65, Borman's got a little bit of a heavy westbound going into Kennedy. Nothing big as far as I can tell. And traffic brought by Angle and Rogues Honda. And Billy Baker's here. Billy, how you doing?
Jimmy, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. You look absolutely outstanding today.
You know what? Thank you. I don't know what that means, or if he needs to borrow money or what. But hey, listen,
got
Baker.
a couple of bucks?
You know what, Baker? You come in. I got a 20 spot to you. Just make it a 50.
Something. I'll get
well, you know what? Round it up, will you?
it.
It's like Andy Quinelli. I go to these charity events and I forget to bring cash. Thinking, I'll buy some. I'll buy a Cubs picture or something for couple $100 or something, I'll give them my card. Sometimes they only take cash on certain things,
It's
know
Lake
what I mean?
County. What do you expect?
Yeah, and so, like, hey, Andy, hit me with a hundo. I owe Andy Quinnell $100 right now. I'll just put it out there. But, Baker and I come in here on Mondays, and I'll tell you what, last week and this week was horrible. So we'll get to those horrible stories.
Oh, boy.
But let's just take some calls. You guys got your mind about the weather? Call me right now, because that's all we did during the break here. Is how could it just rain and be nasty for 8 months, man?
But we planted flowers, so that was good, right?
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
did it on Saturday, though.
You know what?
We didn't wait until it was 40 below zero and then go shopping for it. We did it on at least, somewhat warm on Saturday. It was weird.
What? I got stuff to do. Hell, we couldn't go until Sunday.
Yeah.
Did I tell you I'm in MBA school? I studied all Friday night, all day Saturday, all Saturday night. We couldn't go for flowers until Sunday. But I'll tell you what, Alsop Home and Nursery having some good flower sales right now. Hey, let's see how Lane's been doing. Lane, how you doing, man?
Hey, good morning, you guys.
Morning.
I got some bad news too, I guess. My grandson, who plays for a travel team from Lake of the Four Seasons. Anyways, they had a couple of games at Optimus Park yesterday. And after the game, when the parents were leaving, there were 4 or 5 cars that had their windows busted out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In fact, it was funny. My daughter had to leave after the first game because she had a baby shower. We actually had a baby shower at the house for one of my daughter's friends. But anyways, as I'm walking her out to the car, and she says, hey, what do you think those teenagers are doing around here? I said, well, I don't know. They're hanging around or whatever. But then after the game, there's, 4 or 5 cars. And, it's a shame. You got people from out south come to Hammond for a ball game. And then they leave Hammond with the idea that, oh, man, look at our cars got busted. Windows got busted out.
That's unfortunate. But that's exactly what would happen, too. They're going to go back and say, we went up there for a game and this is what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's kids doing vandalism.
Right. It's just a shame, It's just a shame. And I guess I didn't want to wait till Friday to talk to the mayor. I don't know if they need to just have some more police presence during these things or something.
Windows could get busted out anywhere. But if you put it into that context, all those people are going to go back to Lake of the Four Seasons, and then all of a sudden the violent reputation of North County will be continued on.
Exactly. That's it. And then one other thing, Jim, that guy was calling in about the Robertsdale and the lead in the ground and that. Yeah, it is true that the area around the old metal, which would be New York and the Boulevard, mostly on a street called Lakeview, there is going to be some soil removed eventually from, I don't know, I heard 10 to 12 houses.
You know what? Now that I think about it, that's when Scott Pruitt came in, the head of the EPA, and he went through the alley over there to see, and they got a couple million or 1.7 million or something for the cleanup. I forgot about that. That must be what he's talking about. Isn't that Goose Island or is that Robertsdale?
Oh, that'd be Robertsdale.
That's Robertsdale? Okay.
Just like right behind St. Adalbert's Church there.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm thinking of a different area. I'm going to have to drive out there and see what they're talking about. So, I mean, that's Federated Metals, and they left some lead behind. He's asking if it's in the water.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it being in the water. Again, you know what I do. I'm a plumber, and lead lines don't really, service lines don't really scare me. I mean, there's always a white film inside the pipe if you ever mess with those from the treatment of the water. I actually think it's a barrier. Here, it's more in the ground than in the actual water lines.
Okay. Well, let's hear a plumber say that with comment. All right, man. Thanks a lot. Talk to you.
Talk to you later.
There you go. That's too bad.
Hey, we live in the region.
Turn your mic up just a little bit. There you go.
We live in the region, and I don't know, last time I checked, we grew up here, and last time I checked, for the last 150 years, it's been heavy industry all over the place. What do you think's in the ground? Everywhere. And what, everything's coming out of Lake Michigan's all pristine? Hey, I don't want to burst your bubble or anything, but hey, keep it in context.
Well, what do you do with that?
Well,
I mean, what do you just say? Oh, it's dirty around here. We just got to live with it, or what?
Let's go with the region way and just wait until there's a tragedy and tragic occurrence, and then we'll do something. We don't, we're not proactive about nothing.
That's a double negative.
No, well, I don't. Did you learn that at MBA school?
No, Helen Engstrom taught me that.
It's a double negative.
Hey, he's Billy Baker. He's just my buddy. He just comes in on Monday and josh it up, but we're not going to do that right now. We're going to talk about a very serious incident here in downtown Highland on Saturday morning where an officer was shot in the head, David Aguilera. We're under the impression that he's doing okay, but we don't have that officially. And just from social media reports from people who purport to be close to him. And then perhaps another a Gary officer shot in the arm. And
put it in context.
We don't know
Jimmy.
who did it.
One of them was in there as a patron, correct?
One guy
was working.
One was working, one was a patron.
So they weren't on duty. So you have to remember, you have to keep in context. When you learn to go to MBA school and you talk about journalism, you should always keep it in context is what it is. So they're two cops, but they weren't on duty.
Does that matter?
I think it changes the perspective. If somebody gets shot and they're on duty, I think that's a different story. As far as getting shot, no, it doesn't matter.
Well, he's hired by growlers to stand at the door, and maybe he's wearing his badge. Maybe he's identifying himself as a Gary policeman. I don't know. It's kind of in the gray area if he's on duty or not.
How come nobody's talking about it? They didn't charge him yet?
Well, this is the problem. It sounds, and I'll read you the lead, and it's a little bit weird. And it says, out of the Times, investigators are up against the clock as they continue gathering evidence for possible criminal charges against all parties involved in an early Saturday morning melee outside Growler's Bar on Highway in Highland. Can you guys go around the internet and see if any charges have been filed? Because if it happened at 3 o'clock on Saturday morning, 48 hours ran out. And they found two guys walking a little ways away from this thing, and they've got this Cruz Burgos guy under, and they've arrested him. O'Neill Cruz Burgos of Burnham, Illinois, is in custody at the Lee County Jail, but police can only hold him for 48 hours without filing a charge. He's got a big black eye, so he got into his face is all mixed up, and so he got into it with somebody. I don't know if he's the guy or not. So there's so many unanswered questions. Cindy called. All right, go ahead.
Another example, nothing good happens after midnight. Hell,
Oh.
anymore as I get older, nothing good happens after 10.
Well, if it does, I'm not going to know because I'm sleeping.
Hey, you know,
I've been sleeping for an hour.
pretty much ready to go to dinner anymore at 4:30 in the afternoon. All right.
The wife's like, we can't become those people. I go, yeah, but it's 4:30. I'm hungry. Let's go eat now. It's Saturday. We'll be
Couple of
home.
drinks, sleeping by 9.
Exactly. We'll be home in time to watch the Rockets and the Warriors play. By the way, who won? By the way, Golden
Don't digress. Stay on the point.
I'm sorry. I don't know what to do with this. If you have anything about 219-845-1100. Cindy called in and said she's laying in bed and here's 8 to 9 shots in the middle of the night.
I heard that this morning, and that's gonna be scary. And you know, I was thinking. She said, "Well, you know, she and her husband were in a conversation about it, you know, being kind of quick. Well, maybe there was more than one gun. So if there was more than one gun, it's gonna have a different cadence, if you will. But you know, like her, I'm not a big gun person, but you know, having to worry about those types of things, it's something that's not been new as far as discussions. I mean, you don't want to stop living because there's violence and people make terrible decisions. But it's pay attention. What's going on? I mean, again, I'm not going. I mean, like her, I tend not to, as I get older, not to be very drawn towards large crowds. I mean, it's
that is the point that I wanted to get to. Cindy called in today and she says, I won't go to any festivals anymore. I won't go to big crowds like malls and stuff like that because I'm afraid I can get shot.
Well, you know, and that's her decision, and that's fine. I mean, I still think you can go out and do some of the festivals. I mean, hell, that's all we have to do around here in the summer. That's only thing people do.
I look forward to.
You know, but you know, you don't have to go at night. Just go at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Go at 4:30. Have your stuff, couple of pops, and you're home before dark.
And you know, next thing you know, you're going to go at 3:30 so you can get the lunch menu. Still get the lunch menu. I know it's like half price.
Can I still get eggs?
Do you guys have a senior discount?
Do I get free coffee now that I'm 55?
Yeah. Can I get the lunch menu and the senior discount? I'm in.
Get the ARP card out.
Here it is right here. 219-845-1100. Baker's in town. Baker, will it ever stop raining and being crappy out? You know, we both could have. You moved to Florida. I moved to California. Here we are.
I know.
Here we are, you and I seeing each other every few days, and it's just crappy out for 8 months.
Well, last Monday we were like going, all right, it's supposed to be 80 and sunny on Friday. Let's plan to go out and hit the ball. Well, I mean, they haven't hit one of those, 7-day forecasts. I can't remember when. I'm like, yeah, it's last minute stuff anymore.
And it was nasty on
it was
Friday.
Nasty. I worked. It was better. I could be crabby at work. Why do I want to be crabby out north wind off Lake Michigan? It's drizzling.
52 degrees and drizzling.
Can't hit the ball.
Can't hit the ball. I didn't bring enough stuff. I'm
all
cold.
stiff.
I'm wet.
Oh, my shoulder.
Let's talk to Mad Mac. Hi, Mad Mac, again.
Hey, maybe that fight was the Carpenters versus the Sharks at Growlers.
There you go.
I don't know what that means, but that was
The
kinda...
Carpenters, rainy days and Mondays. Is that what you're talking about, Glad Mac? Because, you work that stuff in.
Carpenters and then the Sharks out of the old musical, the Jets and the Sharks.
Hey,
Hello, do you guys call over there? What's wrong with you?
I'm not listening to you. What'd you say?
Yeah, hey, I gave you the Lewis reference right after. I gave you the. You remember the called the banana hammock? At least you got that one.
You just wanted to say that again, didn't you?
Because Baker would laugh at it.
As soon as that guy said the banana something or other, I go, oh, I'm going to call it and say the banana hammock or banana sack, no matter what.
Isn't that next door to the grape smuggler?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where it is.
Will you guys grow up here, man?
They got that hole in the wall. You can pass the pizza through there. So they got the get past the DNR guy.
You know what? The kid's going to school right now, and they're like,
school's over.
They're like, Mom, what's a banana hammock?
The bullet, big deal.
Whatever, man.
You live in Highland when you take a shot at Growlers. Okay, you're okay. You guys will be fine. God, you guys act like a couple stray bullets and something went wrong. Okay. It moves the economy. Someone bought a couple weapons. Someone bought some artillery. Okay, everybody's okay. Don't worry about it, you know?
So you got to what? You're saying you got to put it in context, and just because it doesn't happen very often in Ireland, everybody making about it as opposed to other races where it's a little bit more frequent?
Yeah, I mean, there are probably 300 people in there. What are the odds? Only one guy got hit. One out of 300.
Minute. Frequent's not good either. I mean, that's not, you're not saying, well, it's not as bad as over there.
Well, welcome to Gary or Hessville. I mean, then you're kind of on your own. But, I mean, you're a little serpentine going to get coffee in the morning, okay?
All right.
I don't want to stop you, Jimmy. Listen,
Well, it's
don't
not gonna
get
let
on
me-
you again taking your kids to basketball games in Gary like you broadcasted on the radio. Get out there, have fun.
All right, man.
Lord.
Talk to you. All right, I got some texts coming in here. Mad Mac thinks he's clever. All right.
Yeah,
That
it
was
does.
clever.
That was
clever. That
flash.
Yeah.
It's like you and I. We think we're clever.
Good morning, Jim. Please announce the Highland Community Band's Big Band Sound Concert this Wednesday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. at Main Square Park in Highland. We'll play Glenn Miller, Duke Ellington, George and Ira Gershwin, Count Basie, Cole Porter, Frank Sinatra, and more. And in case of rain, Lincoln Center Highland. That's according to
Nice. Where's that outside?
A neighbor. That's in Main Square Park in Highland. And Highland needs a good. After this, it'd be nice for a lot of people to come out on. I don't know if I'm gonna sit through too much Duke Ellington and George and Ira Gershwin. You didn't play any of that on your way over here, did you? Anyways,
No, but when you're going and eating that special at 4:30, that's nice music to listen to on your way in.
Yeah, really, it's at 7. You've already eaten dinner.
7? That's awful late.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna make it.
It's getting dark out. I can't see at night.
A neighbor just called this Indian winter. And let's see, I'm Jed. I'm not afraid to attend events. I just choose not to deal with it. Here's a 708. What can we do to get Mad Mac to stop attending public events? I like that. That's pretty good. Jed, my Trump burner phone is almost out of minutes. All right. Control gun violence like Australia and Britain did. Outlaw guns. Takes more courage than the wing nuts have. Wing nuts. Right wing nuts, not right wing nuts.
Stop.
All right.
Really? You're going to read the DM texts? Is that what you're doing?
They're all texting in. We got to read them.
Okay.
Your outdoor drinking water in Chicago are mostly all closed. Should there be a body armor fundraiser for teachers now, since the government refuses to protect them? There's some pretty good text coming in here, Baker. Look at it. Should there be a body armor fundraiser for teachers? God, do you ever think you'd have to ask think about it. Should
No.
a teacher wear body armor?
Better question is, should a teacher be able to carry a gun? How about that one?
Did you hear the Texas governor yesterday? You know what he said part of the problem is?
Not enough guns?
Too many doors at high schools.
Yeah, I heard that.
Did you hear that? I was...
Do you think it was more a button for, actually open doors for people to access the building as opposed to limiting exits in case of fires or whatnot?
No, and he was just, we built schools with too many doors in them. And I'm like, okay, and there's video games. And the video games are making all of the
But
problem.
is it getting to the point where society is in any type of large, venues like that? You have to walk through a metal detector. You have to do it in the courthouse. You have to do it in the city halls in some locations. I mean, is that kind of where it's going to? Maybe. And, I know for me personally, remember McTaverns that was this over here? I mean, when they had a guy wanding me, I was going to meet the preacher after work one day for a beer, and he's wanding. I got wanded. I go, what's going on? It's for your protection. I'm like, yeah, I'm out. Done going here. So, maybe it was a precursor to kind of where things are going to have to go.
Preacher ever show up?
He was there. Oh, he was already, settled in. Well, how about this? I'm going to pick up Max in Bloomington a couple of weeks ago, and I broke the, I'm old. So
Stay on the mic.
Just quit telling me what to do.
Well, we can't hear you then.
Sometimes that's okay. People like that also.
Dead Air Baker.
But anyway, I deviated from the stops, and as far as I had my routine going out of Bloomington, and where I stop and do the pit stop and whatnot. But I stopped in Lebanon. All right, I don't know why. I just had it off. So I stopped in Lebanon, which is just north of India, if you all don't know. And I go to the gas stations, convenience store place to use the facilities, and I'm walking out, and no doubt there's like these two, I would say young men. They're probably in their early mid-20s. They actually had guns on holsters walking into the convenience store. I'm walking out. I'm like going, I had to do a double take. I go, are you kidding me? I go, how does that work? But I mean, things change. I mean, the only thing that stays the same anymore is change, right? So, maybe that's the flip side of what happens.
Were they cops?
I didn't stick around to ask. Sure didn't look like it. He was, he looked very commune-like from Berkeley.
I guess I never really thought about it. I don't know the laws that well. I know you can conceal and carry. Can you just put your gun on your holster and walk around like that?
And I saw
Anybody answer that question for me? Can you just say, all right, I'm going to carry my gun, but
Melon's here. He knows everything. Just ask him.
Let's talk to Jamie. Jamie, what are you going to do when you grow up, huh?
I'm not sure. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I think in Indiana you can. I'm not 100% with the gun thing, but I have seen a lot of people lately carrying their gun just right out in public, letting you know that they have it on their hip. But the reason I called, I don't know how many more digs Mad Mac's going to throw at Hammond and all the gunshots and everything. But I give you some police records. You go check all calls that have been made to growlers. If it had been a bar Hammond, the mayor would have had it shut down by now. Shut down plenty of them.
You got a point. The mayor has been here in Hammond has been very aggressive at places that were having issues, and like the one that comes to mind is downtown Hammond. Then there was the one here on Kennedy and Hessville. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but you're right. He has been very aggressive on that. What do you think should happen with growlers?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I would imagine the resident. That's not my call, but I would imagine the residents are going to speak up in Highland. You know how the Highland residents are. If they're not happy with something, they'll speak up.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Talk to you.
Yep.
Hey, Melon, how you been? Hey, you guys are on the air. Those microphones can catch any of that whispering you guys are going to try to do. How you doing? What a dork, man.
I have no idea
what. Say that again, what?
How's that for the lead?
He wants to know where is growlers.
It's in Highland, right?
They smoke in there, Melon. I thought you knew every place where you can go inside
I quit
and smoke.
smoking.
Oh, you did? Congratulations.
You quit smoking?
Since December, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, boy, I tell you.
Talk to the mic. Not
Well, I got to do a show after this. I'm not up for this.
Hey, wait a second. Wait a cigarette. I've heard some surprising things in my life, but that Mike Mellon quit smoking?
Yeah, I know. It's like been a part of me for so long.
It has been.
It really has. I mean, it's, it is odd. I think about it every day. I love smoking. I mean, I'm telling you. If they could figure out a way to make a healthy cigarette or even just a neutral cigarette, I'd be all in. I really would be. That's an investment I'd make.
Where's Growlers? Growlers is in downtown Highland across from Rodney's Langles.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been to Growlers. I gotta be honest with you.
I don't think you have either.
They don't let pink polos in there.
Yeah, I just don't think you've been there. How you been, man?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Plugging along here. How about you guys?
Yeah. Did you have an answer to that question? Can you wear your gun?
Not in Indiana. No.
You can't wear it on your holster.
Texas, you can. Different states have different laws, and whether it's a concealed carry or it's open carry or however it works. And in Indiana, no, it's got to be concealed carry.
Oh, it's got to be concealed.
I think that there might be a special permit you could get for open carry. I mean, I assume law enforcement obviously does, but for the average person, the majority of people are concealed carry.
I couldn't get in my car fast enough.
They might have been cops, Baker. I mean,
Maybe.
literally.
Undercover cops, but if he's an undercover cop, why would he put his gun on a holster on his
Well,
hip?
I mean,
that kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
There's a lot.
I don't know. I didn't go to MBA school like you guys, but maybe there's a class.
MBA
Do you
school.
think you can help me? You think you can help me with break-even analysis? By the way,
I could try.
Hey, listen, I need a tutor.
You going back to get your degree?
I am.
Yeah,
I am working
congratulations.
pretty diligently. Baker keeps texting me, "Hey, let's meet." I'm like, I got a quiz due at midnight.
I learned how to do marketing.
Well, I'll tell you, man. Marketing was in my MBA was the only class I got to be in. I for some reason it just doesn't make sense to me.
No, I'm taking a bunch of them. I'm taking one over the summer. It's all marketing, and I'm loving it, but it's very difficult and cutting into my.
It just seems a little abstract to me.
It
the
is.
whole marketing.
Well,
concept.
analytical people have trouble with that kind of thing because a lot of analytical people, they want to make sure it fits right into that little box, nice and easy every time.
I don't.
And marketing doesn't.
I traditionally don't see the return with it, and so if you can't calculate a return on investment, I don't see it being even a point.
Jeez, man. What, do you walk around your whole life?
Everything is black and white, baby.
Hey, Melon, you want to?
That's been how I approach the government too.
Hey, Melon, you want to meet for a drink? Well, I don't see any return on that.
Exactly. I don't see any real benefit.
Yeah, there's no
a
benefit.
break-even analysis. It's not
That's
working
why
in
I've
my
never been to
favor.
Growlers,
Out.
apparently.
You're not in, you're out.
I mean, you were on the town council for 8 years, right? Your wife's on.
8 long years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta ask your question if certain businesses are good for your community. I mean, and Growlers, I always thought it was kind of a cool place to go. They smoke, but if you're meeting people who smoke, but I've never heard some of the stuff that people have been coming out with of late, and especially to have a shooting there. I mean, it's a tough thing for a company for a town like Highland.
Well, Highland went with some similar problems with what was the place called Finkeys or something like that was
Yeah.
over on Kennedy.
Now it's Vito's Pharmacy.
Now it's Vito's Pharmacy. Yeah, I mean, so obviously they had enough problems there that if I remember the articles, on memory here, some pressure by the community and the town to shut down, to change things, which probably ultimately led to. If they didn't close for economic reasons, or if they didn't close because of the pressure, there were probably economic reasons that affected them based on some of that pressure.
Let's talk to Rick on line one. You guys want to talk? Baker and Mellon and I are just going to hang out for a few minutes. Mellon's got the Lake County Republican show. Who do you have on with you today?
I got John Reed, so if you guys want to stick around for that, we can all hang out. It'll be a lot of fun.
Wow.
Right now it's 50.
Stick around. No, I better.
It's probably 50-50 as to whether or not he shows.
I'm leaving. You guys can handle it. All right, let's go to Rick.
I called him at 6:30 this morning and begged him to go.
Hey, Rick, what's up, man?
I was just going to tell you about the state law. The state law in Indiana is you can conceal or you can carry on the outside. Now, if you're in a restaurant and you have your gun hanging out and the owner decides to call the police, you won't go to jail, but you'll have to show that you do have a gun, and they suggest that you tuck it in. But on the books, it's conceal out or open carry or conceal.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Rick.
But there's separate permits, right?
Yeah,
I
there's
believe they
separate
are.
permits,
Yeah.
yes.
And
I think-
the majority of people have to get the conceal or do get the concealed carry. Indiana doesn't have a lot of open carry people.
Hey, Mike Mellon's here. Mellon, I want to ask about a question. I'm just going to say a guy's name, and I want
Hey, you know, they could hear that.
You know what?
That's a valid point, Bill. Thank you for finally speaking up.
You know
because
what? I mean, I'm really
as a
tired of-
listener, I've been sick and tired of it.
Okay, I mean, everybody's doing that humming.
I
That's
know,
another
it's
thing.
just-
You know, just stop.
I don't even know how people put up with it.
Well, if you go to MBA, you'll learn.
Well,
how
yeah,
that
you learn
works.
those
You know,
things.
exactly.
That's a 200 level
right,
class.
You know, but that's next semester.
I'm going to say a guy's name, and I want your reaction. Mike Braun.
Mike Braun. I don't know. What do you want? What kind of reaction do you want?
Well, Mike Braun came out of the non-traditional method to become the senator in the candidate for this November's election. I interviewed him a couple times. He's buddies with a few guys around here that I know, and he is not at all your typical Indiana Republican. Luke Messer, maybe. Todd Rokita, maybe. Mike Braun, not. He's wearing right now he's wearing a blue denim shirt wherever he goes, and he's saying some pretty egregious thing about their political order. Does he have a chance to win this thing?
Well, I mean, first let's start with, is he not? He's not a traditional Indiana Republican. I'm not sure what a traditional Indiana Republican is. I mean, Mitch Daniels used to drive around in a Winnebago and wear I never saw the man in a tie hardly. And he was as Indiana Republican as you're going to get. And then you take a guy like, Braun, who I don't know personally. I don't know him very well. I was during the, and I'm not afraid to admit it, during the primary, I would support, Todd, because Todd's a Lake County guy. I went to grade school and high school with Todd, for crying out loud. It's hard to not support somebody like that. Even when, with any candidate, you have different things that you agree, you disagree on. And, Todd and I have always been that way. And, I'm sure I'll be that way with Braun. But, I don't know him well enough yet to really, I guess, say that he's not a traditional Indiana Republican. And maybe, quite frankly, maybe we don't need a traditional Indiana Republican. I mean, Dick Lugar wasn't a traditional Indiana Republican from the standpoint of he used to go to Washington and compromise a lot, and I always respected that in him. So there's a number of different people who I guess weren't traditional Indiana Republicans, and they've done all right.
So Mike Braun is pretty was criticizing Washington, and he was just kind of very Trump-like as he stormed across Indiana. That seemed to resonate pretty heavily right now.
Well, the state of Indiana is tired of, traditional politicians who don't get a lot done. They're sick and tired of the people who follow, just, whatever the majority whip or the minority whip, whoever it happens to be at the particular moment, whatever they're saying, I think. The following party lines isn't always what's best for the state of Indiana. We see that here all the time with our state representatives even, that, you'll see a state representative, and I think it kills them when it happens, is they'll vote party lines, which is contrary to the interests of Lake County, and as a result, typically they lose the next election or something like that when that
Not
happens.
Lake County. They keep winning.
Well, as long as you have a D after your name, I understand. But, I mean, it's one of those things that, you run into some of that stuff, and, I don't think that he'll be that type of mouthpiece that, just goes down there and votes party lines. And that's, I guess, one of the things that Indiana residents, and well, me at least, as an Indiana resident, that's the thing that's concerning me the most. I'm tired of partisan politics. I'm tired of this lack of compromise, this inability to get anything done because I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. Now it's just a theatrical performance, and I think guys that are going to go down there and just do work, I mean, hey.
But that's the difference between campaigning and actually doing what the job that you're trying to gain is supposed to do. I mean, just because you're qualified to do the job doesn't mean you're a good campaigner to win. Or if you're a good enough campaigner to win, doesn't mean you're qualified to do the job. And I think that's where you see a disconnect, at least in my opinion, of having those deliverables show up because good campaigners don't know what the hell to do once they get in there.
What do you mean, Mellon, that you want to see some people, what do you want to see people working together? I'm missing it.
I miss the Ronald Reagan, Tip O'Neill kind of relationships where these guys they'd fight, they'd argue, there'd be all this public discontent, and then all of a sudden they'd sit down and they'd hatch it out a deal somehow, and that's what the country needs. People need to move forward. People need. If you're not trying to solve problems, if you're not actually doing things, then all you're doing is you're stagnating and you're eroding. You're degrading to a certain degree. And the country right now is somewhat degrading because everybody's so entrenched. I mean, you've got people on Trump's side who are entrenched. You've got people on Pelosi's side who are entrenched. I mean, it's a mess.
Did you say ugh?
I said ugh.
The republicanism that you're talking right now is not in vogue.
No, you're right. It's not. I mean, it's not in vogue with what you're hearing out there. But in all honesty, with a lot of the people in general just want things to get done properly. Now, we don't want change just for the sake of change. I mean, and we never want some of those things. But you're seeing things that are happening now, for the first time in quite a while, and you're seeing action. And that's what Indiana Republicans, I think, want to see. I mean, you take the whole situation with Israel and with Israel's capital. I mean, you've had president after president after president, talking about, recognizing Israel's capital. And finally, you had somebody who actually did something. And so you're seeing action, and that's what people want to see in the state of Indiana. And typically action comes from compromise, and that's my personal belief. But somehow Trump and this administration is finding a way to get some things done without compromise. But having majority always helps with that.
Yes, it does.
219-845-1100. Mellon and Baker will take one phone call. Hey, Bob, what's up?
Hey, just an observation. I agree with just about everything you're saying about compromise and all of that. And this is by no means a pro-Trump call. It's just an observation. It could be anybody. It could have been any president. But you look at what this guy has done. He's rattled the cage of China about trade. There's going to be a trade war, trade war, trade war. Then we find out, hey, they're actually sitting down and talking about the trade imbalance and how we can that. At least talk about it. The North Koreans. We're on the brink of nuclear war with North Korea. The next thing you know, North Korea and South Korea are shaking hands. It's amazing that some of these things can happen, yet Democrats and Republicans can't figure it out. We can go up against communist Chinese and actually sit down and talk to them. We can go up against dictators in North Korea and talk to them. But somehow we can't figure it out between Trump and Pelosi.
Oh, I mean, what you're saying, I completely agree with. I mean, you listen to people out there, and especially, in your casual circles, there is such an absolute disdain for Trump and as a person. And I can understand some of that based on some of the things that are said or just the basic personality and how that works with people. But I don't know how you can argue some of the results that have happened, some of the actions, some of the things that are going on. That's what amazes me.
Yes, it's almost as if we're not going to pay attention to what he's doing. We're going to pay attention to something he said 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 8 months ago. It boggles my mind that we're worried about some porn star, Stormy Daniels. We may be on the brink of this. We may, and again, the big may, we may be on the denuclearization of North Korea.
Well, during the Bush administration, all we talked about, or towards the end of the Bush administration, we talked about North Korea. And then during 8 years of the Obama administration, it's like North Korea never even existed. We didn't do anything about it. And now suddenly North Korea is another hot button again. I find it fascinating how our focus can shift based on, who's in office and what's happening and how problems aren't problems during certain administrations. That's shocking to me.
I guess at certain times, maybe it's cyclical. Blondes with big boobs go to the front of the line. Well, I guess that's true all the time. But especially now, it just seems to be we're like I don't know what we are. We're children that you dangle a shiny, jingly object in front of, and we all stare at it, and we don't pay attention to the other things going on. It's just a strange set of circumstances.
Speaking of shiny, jingly objects, look what just walked in.
How you doing, John?
I'm doing good.
I don't know what number that is, but we'll turn it on here.
Oh, but all the oxygen is starting to get sucked out of the room. Hey, I got to go to work. I'll let you guys talk.
Smells like
a great week.
Smells like growlers in here. Johnny Reed's going to come on and talk with Mike Mellon for the Lake County Republican show, and I haven't seen you in a while, so I just wanted to say hello.
Nice to see you too, Jim. Yeah, it's been a little while.
All right, so I'm going to get out of here right now. Lake County Republicans are going to pay for this. We're going to get the mics all set up. Mike Mellon has hosted my show in the past. He's going to put this headphone and you can chat to him all you want. They'll be right back.
We won't be taking calls.
They'll be taking calls.